For one thing, you could usually find a fish. And if you found a fish, there was usually other fish around. Fortunately, in this area around Hibernia, the Native Americans would stock the streams. Stocking a stream means that they would put fish into the water. Now, there's a legend that the Indians used to put fish into the ground, and then the corn would sprout up in a much easier fashion. But really, let's think about this. Fish don't do well when planted in the ground. So it's much more logical that the Indians, or as we like to call them, Native Americans, placed their extra fish in the water. And the water was usually a fast-moving stream. Later, you will see some pictures of actual areas that these Native Americans, later pioneers from Philadelphia, were used to fishing. Now, they had many ways of fishing. They would use poles if they could get them from Poland, but most of the time they used nets and baskets. Now, a good basket would cause the fish to go into the basket but not be able to get out of the basket. The fish weren't particularly bright, but it also had to do with the flow of the stream, so that the flow of the stream would push the fish into the basket, and then he would have to swim much harder to get out. And there were, people around, people, they called them savages. They weren't really savages. They were really quite ecologically advanced, let's say that. So they built settlements around streams, around creeks, around rivers, and in these settlements they would build various buildings that they would find would help their area to do well. And this was an area before plastics. Plastics didn't come into effect until the mid-20th century. And this was far before the mid-20th century. This is more like the 17th century, meaning 1600, and then 1700, and then 1800, and then 1900, and then, now we're up to the 20th hundred. Anyway, these pioneers, we'll call them pioneers. Hold on, I'm being summoned by my spouse.